Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Cult of Self. I'm Jeremy.
And I am Albert.
We're here to talk to you today about adaptability. Because if something goes wrong, you need to adapt. You need to shift your perspective. You have to jump into a whole new situation now that you may not have necessarily planned for. So today we're offering, maybe upwards of 5 tips, maybe special number 6, special number 7. So let's just dive right into this. Number 1, live creatively.
What does that mean, live creatively? Well, that to me personally, living creatively is stepping into an environment where that might not be exactly what the perfect tools, the perfect situation, the perfect environment, everything set up the way you need it to be, and you have to make do with what you have. You have to move some things around. You have to be a person that sees potential in things that are given to you, situations that are given to you, even if they're not the best in the most favorable circumstances.
Right. And for me, living creatively means, like, oh wait, my tripod broke, so now I have to use, like a chair or a table to mount my camera. Or like, hey, something's not working out 100%. Well, what are some of my other options? It's being able to really explore other alternative options and really see things where it's like, wait, it's a chair. Why would you use it as a tripod? Well, get creative, like really envision your other options when it might not be as clear as others may see it. Tip number 2 is embrace your emotional intelligence. Very important.
Yeah, stepping into emotions, stepping in and feeling all the emotions that you might feel during your projects. Whatever you're doing, sometimes they're not always favorable. Circumstances don't go, or situations don't always go the way you want them to. Things don't always go as planned. Embracing your emotions and embracing how to cope and manage those emotions in a very healthy way helps you get through the situation very fast and onto the next thing. You don't have to be caught up in, how I'm feeling and this didn't work out. You embrace these mechanisms to deal with the emotions and you move forward, and it helps you progress in a faster way.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, this means more of like acknowledge where your emotions currently are at. So say if something like, again, back to the tripod breaking. You broke your tripod. Oh no, I'm like really upset. I'm really bummed out. Like, oh, this is terrible. Why is it happening? No, stop right there. Acknowledge that like you're in this kind of negative mental state, this emotional state. That's not helping. Jump into that more positive state, and that'll allow you to see potentially new options, new alternatives that, just being negative, focusing on like the bad, the brokenness of the tripod, that's not gonna fix it. That's not gonna change the situation. If the leg broke or something, well, hey, go find like a stick or even get some books, stack the books up there, Also, really embrace that, really understand where your emotions are at in that moment and allow yourself to get in your mind and really fine tune it and adjust your emotions to a more helpful state. A more helpful emotion.
And as you keep going with projects and as you keep moving forward in your life, even if you're not good at that just in the beginning when you're starting and things, something happens that doesn't quite fit for you and you get really worked up about it, knowing that if you take that step, even if it's a little bit late and you work and you get through it, the next time that happens, maybe you'll do it a little bit faster, and the next time you'll do it a little bit faster. Know that there's that progression, and know that just you could wait 5 days to get over something the first time, and hopefully by the 50th time you're only waiting 30 seconds and you're on to the next thing, and you're like, okay, I'll take care of it, it'll be done, I'll fix it, but right now I got to get something done. And you be creative and you make shift and you get those emotions to a place where you could just kind of work through them very fast.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a muscle that you want to start working out, really start building that muscle, and something that you'll allow yourself to just jump into when an undesirable event happens. You'll be able to jump into that creative mind, that emotional acknowledgement. Tip number 3 is flexibility. Go for it.
Flexibility. Being able to just roll with punches. Roll with punches, not whining, not spinning in that space. We're going to kind of use a little bit of we're going to kind of jump back into some of the earlier tips with this one too. Being able to roll with all your punches, being able to go with the flow, so to speak.
Right.
You know, having the ability to, if one thing doesn't work, there's other doors. Take one of those other doors and just keep moving. You know, allowing yourself to see potential in other options. You know, that is a big factor in reaching your full potential.
Absolutely. When it comes to flexibility, it's exactly moving into other options. All right, so moving into number 4, we are talking about expectations. Now, we're talking about personal expectations about yourself, not expectations for others. That's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother mindset, mind shift. So, personal expectations.
Personal expectations. Now, here's the thing with expectations. When you're going up the mountain, a lot of times you're gonna hear about people or see other people trying to set these goals and just trying to shoot for the stars right off the bat, and you set an expectation that something needs to be a certain way and you need to get to a certain space. My tips for expectations is don't set expectations for yourself on the way up. Now the thing is, you might create something, and the first time you create it, it might look good to you because you put effort into it, and that's awesome. You did something. You took your first steps into getting where you want to go. Now, roll with it. Roll with where you're at. Once you develop the skills and you do 10 iterations later of that first thing that you did, you could then look and see the difference. You know, your 10th iteration of something is going to be probably a lot better than your first iteration of something. That's where your expectations kind of come in. Okay, I'm at this skill level now. I am trying not to go back to the first skill level, the first iteration of whatever I created. I'm trying to stay at least at this skill level, and this is my expectation. You know, your current situation and your current iteration of things is always your expectation. You don't want to go backwards, and you don't want to shoot too far up. You just get to where you're at, and you're going to continue to grow. Your skills are going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to grow, and everything's going to get better. And at that point, you set your expectations to never regress. It's always a progression. And that could actually even be if you're a person that really wants to set some expectations in the beginning. You're like, you know what, Albert, I need to set some expectations for myself. Okay, well, just set an expectation that every time you do something, it's just a progression, and that every time you do something and you keep going with it, it never regresses back to an original state. It's always growing forward.
Yeah, to me, the way I look at expectations is like, well, if you're doing something for the first time, why would you have expectations? You know, like what you have a goal. You know, like, oh, you want to achieve. Say it's my first time painting, and I want to paint like the Mona Lisa, right? Wait, if it's my first time painting, why would I expect to paint the Mona Lisa? That's like a lot of skill, years of craftsmanship went into, you know, creating such a piece. Hyperrealism is very, you know, difficult for beginners to achieve to begin with. So it's like, okay, that could be like your long-term goal. Like, you know, oh, in 5 years I'm going to paint an exact replica of the Mona Lisa. That's fine. Absolutely nothing would be wrong with that. But I'm saying, like, expectations, when you set potentially unrealistic expectation for yourself, it may guide you into failure and into that negative space where you might find yourself like, wait, it didn't come out the way I wanted. What's wrong with me? Like, why am I not good enough? Why should I? And then you could potentially go into that downward negative spiral and then just give up painting to begin with, you know? And to me, I feel like expectations, you know, get rid of them. You know, you don't need them, especially when you're a beginner and you're trying something new. When it comes to goal setting, definitely set the most extravagant, huge goals, you know, that you plan on achieving when you reach your full potential down the road in years to come, and then set those little like milestones along the way. So say, for example, I want to paint the Mona Lisa. 5 years, I'm painting an exact replica of the Mona Lisa. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be beautiful. Well, what do I have to do to get there? Well, first take some painting classes. That's number one. Understand what brushes you'll need to achieve that. Are you going to do oil or acrylic, or what's the difference? See, you have to educate yourself to set yourself up for those big goals. Because without that knowledge and wisdom, without that, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to understand the craft at which you're working, you have to try, you have to educate yourself, you have to keep growing, keep learning, keep trying new things, experiment with the different mediums, really find what works for you, and before you know it, you'll be achieving those big goals and creating what you want. In this case, in this example, it's creating the Mona Lisa in a couple of years, absolutely. So number five, we are talking about optimism when it comes to what you're doing and positive self-talk.
Yes, positive self-talk. I will say this throughout our series over and over and over again. You could be your biggest critic or you could be your biggest motivator. And this is where the attitude comes in. This is where the mind comes in. Building yourself up so much that even if you were to go against what we said and set expectations, and you were to put yourself in front of all the naysayers, and you were to create things and it were to come out completely not the way you wanted it to, having yourself built up so much, and not in an arrogant, egotistical way, but in a way that you're convinced that you're on your path and you're going to succeed, and you're going to, nothing is going to affect you. You're going to keep learning, you're going to keep growing, you're going to stay humble, but you're going to always be taking those steps, and you're going to be strong in those steps, and you're going to have the support system built. You will then have the support system built within that nothing could break you down, and staying optimistic and having that positive self-talk is a big factor in that. Because the minute you have 10 naysayers telling you can't do something, and then you're telling yourself you can't do something, you're setting yourself up to crash and burn. Right before anybody else does it, you'll do it. So allow yourself to build that attitude. And if you don't have that attitude, start taking steps to create better talk within yourself, to create a better environment within yourself. It's a huge factor that the inside of yourself, the mind, and the emotions are following suit with your desires and your goals.
Yeah, the mind follows your desires, your intentions, and towards your goals. Remember that. Oh, all right, so tell us about what we got going on here on the table. What is this? Where can we find that?
So we're looking at this is a genuine crow feather, or crow wing. There are a few. We have I believe right now, currently, we have a raven wing available. If you check out the Etsy shop, Divine Temple, there's a few other altar pieces and some sacred items to work in ceremony and rituals. We also have some orgonite that we will be creating, and there's some pieces available. Yep, check it out there. There's some pieces available on Divine Temple Etsy as well. Check us out. And also there's some videos on www.catacomb.tv that also are some of my tutorials and things on how to use some of these smudge fans and some of these other sacred tools. So check those out. That's what we got.
Awesome. And then you can also check out all my bone decor, all my art at catacombculture.com. And hey, thanks a lot for watching today. Remember, your potential is infinite, so go explore it. Thank you.